Okay, I am live. Excuse me. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 18th. Got to look at this camera. Got to get used to that. So just bear with me. Hold on here. Let me mute this. Okay. Today is Tuesday, February 18th, and this is tech news that Jerome Ortega finds interesting, and my phone is going off. So let me restart that. Today is Tuesday, February 18th, and this is tech news that Jerome Ortega finds interesting. Live. This is my first live show, just me by myself. We'll see how this goes. Uh, there's a lot to prepare for, and there wasn't much preparation here. I just kind of put a couple stories together. Yesterday was a really long day at the studio here. I mean, it took me forever to get here today, but there are a couple stories I want to go through. I don't really know how long this show is going to go. It could be as short as 15 minutes. It could be as long as, I don't know, an hour or so, but I'm thinking somewhere between half an hour to an hour. You know, getting up in the morning to do these shows, it's a little different for me. You know, I'm used to doing it later in the evening, so I know I'm probably not getting much people from the US. And I'm seeing here, hold on here. Let me get everything set up because I'm still trying to figure everything out. Uh, I don't have Mike with me. Mike usually does the standard with me, but this is going to be tech news that again I find interesting, stuff that I want to talk about, and you know we'll see how this goes. This is also a work in progress. I see Brian in the chat. What's up? What's up, Jerome? Coming from Iceland. Brian, I didn't know you were from Iceland. How's it going, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining the show. And so I have a couple stories lined up today, and actually there are a good amount of stories that I haven't had a chance to really go through. So really, how I wanted to do this is I wanted to get prepped for the stories, kind of go through it. But today, I'll kind of read through them. We'll talk about it. I'll give you my thoughts, and we'll see how it goes. So, the first thing I wanted to talk about is there was. Let me see if I can share my screen here. Sorry, guys. Again, I am just trying to get everything up and running. There we go. Share. Good. Okay. So the first story I want to talk about is Apple, and Apple working on their new budget phone, which is going to be the iPhone 9 or the iPhone SE2. I that's you know what, and maybe we should talk about that first. Is the naming convention, and I don't really know if Apple wants to call it the iPhone 9. And I talked about this like in a previous video that I made, and calling it the iPhone 9, I think is just going to be confusing to a lot of people. One, because the iPhone 10 came out 2 years ago, and then, you know, we're at the iPhone 11 now. So to have an iPhone 9 or for it to be called that just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But the other name that people are thinking it's going to be is the iPhone SE 2, which is still a mouthful to call it the iPhone SE2. But maybe Apple is going to call it something completely different. So, you know, I guess we'll wait and see. Let me go through these comments real quick. Brian, I'm from New York, but I'm on Oh, that's right. You're vacationing. I forgot about that. That's right. That's why you were asking about Google Fi overseas. Actually, are you using Google Fi? And if you are, has it been working well? And George, morning, George. How's it going? How you doing? Glad you could make it to the show. And you know, I'll just fill you in, George, if you haven't seen. Like, this is very impromptu. I want to start streaming in the mornings, like 3 times a week. That's my plan. I'm not very prepared today because I had a long day yesterday at work. And then today I just pulled a couple stories, but I want to go through them. The iPhone being one of the big ones. And so this article here from BGR, you know, they're talking about how there's a special event. And actually, I don't know if Will's going to be in here, but Will had sent me something in like a group chat talking about a special event from Apple happening on March 31st. Here, 9 to 5 Mac is calling it the iPhone 9 on April 3rd. So March 31st is, when is that? March 31st is on a Tuesday. So what is that, 6 weeks from now? Yeah, about 6 weeks from now, Apple supposedly is holding a special event and then releasing the iPhone 9 or the iPhone SE 2 on April 3rd, which April 3rd would be on a Friday. Okay. Okay. So from what we've gathered when it comes to this is going to be Apple's foray into a more budget friendly phone. And it's not their first foray. I mean, they've done this in the past, but the big thing with this iPhone 9 or this iPhone SE 2 or whatever they want to call it is the fact that this phone is supposedly coming in at $399. I have friends who are still using older iPhones, and to have a new Apple iPhone coming in at $399 with an A13 processor, I think is a big deal. I don't know what else it's going to come with. You know, supposedly it's going to have iPhone 8 like exterior, so it'll be like an iPhone 8 shell with an iPhone 11 processor, just newer upgraded guts in the phone. As far as like the camera, I think that's still up in the air. I don't know what I mean for $400 for an iPhone, a new iPhone for $400. I feel like they're going to be probably skipping on a bunch of things. And me being an optimist, I was just like, man, if they can just put that A13 processor in there and they can put like the iPhone 11 main camera, I think they would kill it at $400. But I just don't see them putting that money in there. I just feel like I don't know if it would eat at their iPhone 11 sales. I'm guessing it would, but this new budget iPhone isn't going to have Face ID. It'll have Touch ID, which is still really usable. I still feel like a lot of people love that, like me included. It's, I don't know if there are any renders here of what it would look like. I don't think so. But, it's going to look like an iPhone 8, supposedly. That's what it's supposed to look like. So it's still going to have like really fat bezels on the top and the bottom. You're going to have the big fingerprint reader at the bottom. And so aesthetically, it's going to look old school. And if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. But if if you're still looking for a fingerprint reader and you're just looking for a faster processor so that, you can do your tasks a lot better if you're still using an older phone at a $400 price, I mean, it's a great deal. I mean, that's how I feel about it. Let me see if I can kind of just go through the story and see if there are a couple things that I might have missed here. Um, so as we detailed a few weeks ago, there's plenty of evidence to suggest Apple might be planning a spring media event. Now, a report from German iPhone rumors site iPhone Ticker suggests Apple is planning a special event for the end of March. Let me see here. The most likely date suggested by the report is Tuesday, March 31st. Sorry, my wallet is okay. That's better. My wallet was bothering me. I was sitting on my wallet. So if Apple holds a media event this year on March 31st and releases the iPhone 9 on April 3rd, then we would also expect iOS 13.4 to be released sometime that same week. Okay, so iOS 13. And that's something I wasn't aware of. iOS 13.4 includes new features such as iCloud, Drive folder sharing, new Memoji stickers, and much more. The iCloud Drive folder sharing is great. I don't really use iCloud, but for those that do, I mean, that seems like a great feature to add there. Memoji stickers, I don't use Memojis. I think I did when it first came out, and it's kind of a fad or gimmicky thing for me. As we speculated last month, there are plenty of announcements Apple could pack into a March keynote this year. Okay, so we're talking more than just the iPhone 9 or the iPhone SE 2, more than just iOS 13.4. In addition to the oft-rumored iPhone 9, reports suggest Apple is working on an updated iPad Pro for this March, as well as tile-like item trackers referred to as AirTags. Okay, hold on. Let me look into that. That's actually really interesting. I own a tile. The only place I have a tile is it's actually in my wallet. I keep one in here just in case, like I can't. I'm trying to aim for the camera in case I can't find it. And you know, the last thing I want to lose is my wallet, and having a tile in there is actually really helpful. I need to do that with my keys, and I would love if I could put one in my backpack, but I don't think it's loud enough because there were many times. There was one time when I was like really drunk and I was at, I can't remember where, but it was like in like wine country in California. And I got drunk and I left my backpack, and I was like 2 hours away from, like, I drove back 2 hours into LA. And this was, what was this, 2 years ago? I do go to California a lot. I know I live there, but I do visit there a lot, you know, with my family there. And yeah, that sucked. I and like tile would have been perfect. Well, no, actually, it wouldn't have been because I was drunk, so it didn't matter. I couldn't drive the 2 or 3 hours back, and I had to have them. Luckily, my backpack was still there. It had, I think, it had 4 phones in it or 3 phones in it, and they were able to FedEx it to me. Like everything was in there, so very thankful for them to do that. Anyway, I'm going off topic here. Let me see here. Let me go through the chat. Okay, so George says, always look forward to your live streams. Always interesting. George, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Septimu, Roman Septimu. I hope I'm saying that correctly. If not, help me pronounce that help me pronounce that, and I'll get that right. Brian says Google Fi is working pretty well. Let's see what happens when I head into the non-urban areas. Brian, let me just ask: is Iceland? Is that the first time you've been there? I've really been wanting to travel. To be honest with you, like this year, I really want to go to Japan. I don't know if I'm going to have money for that, but that's something I really want to do. But we'll see. Anyway, Iceland seems like a great place to visit. Okay, George, I agree. Budget-friendly iPhone with A13 is pretty sweet. Yes, it is. I think this is going to be a great competitor to the Pixel 4a. When that Pixel 4a comes out, its redeeming feature is its camera, right? They're going to put an awesome camera in it, and it looks like they might be going in a different route, and instead of putting the best camera in there, their iPhone 11 camera, they're going to be putting their best processor in there. Again, I don't know what camera Apple is going to put in their iPhone 9 or the iPhone SE2. Maybe it's still going to be the iPhone 8 camera, which, you know, it's perfectly serviceable, right? It's still a decent camera, but I would love to see them break some barriers and put that processor in with the iPhone 11 main camera. I feel like that would completely turn things around for a lot of other. There are a lot of, and something I'm going to talk about later too. There are a lot of companies with doing these mid-range phones because, and I'm going to rant here, all these manufacturers, they are pricing things out way too high, like ridiculously high. You know, the Galaxy S20 Ultra, I wanted that phone. Like, I don't want the S20 Ultra because it has a 6.9-inch display. I don't really care for big phones, but the only reason I wanted that phone is because of its extra specs in there. It has a better camera, or supposedly a better camera, than the Galaxy S20 and the Galaxy S20 Plus. But I'll get back into that. So let me see here. Septimu said, I'm currently rocking an iPhone 7 Plus, so I'm quite curious to see what they'll launch. Yeah, and I'm really curious too. Again, I think with the rumors that have been coming out, with the things that they've been sharing, it's going to be an iPhone 8 with upgraded guts inside it. I don't know. I'm assuming the storage is going to be better. Hopefully the storage is going to be better. Battery maybe will be better. I know at one point they were talking about it might be a wireless, or they might have wireless, functionality. So you could wirelessly charge your iPhone on a budget $400 phone, which would be great as well. But again, for me personally, you know, everybody's tastes, everybody's priorities are different. But for me, I would love to see upgraded processor, upgraded camera. Jason, don't sit on your wallet, Costanza. I know that's my fault. That's why I took it out. It's why it's sitting on my desk now. Jason, by the way, thank you for joining the chat. Brian says here, I think it would be pretty sweet still as long as the main shooter and the selfie camera are updated. I haven't even thought about the selfie camera. Yeah, that I feel like they need to update that one as well. Again, I don't know if they're going to update the main shooter. I would love to see it happen. I just don't know if they will. The design, battery life, and lack of extra cameras should be the only downsides. And I agree. And you know what? I think there are some purists who still want the old iPhone 8 design. I bet you there are a lot of people who still really like that design. They still like having the fingerprint reader at the bottom. They still want a fingerprint reader. They don't want Face ID. So there's a market for it. There's a niche for it. Just like there's a niche for the Pixel 3a, the Pixel 4a. And I hope again, that's another tangent. And I can sit here and I can just talk about different things for a while, but the Pixel 4a, I really hope they knock that one out of the park. I just, Google needs to step up. That's how I feel about it. Oh, okay. So Septivu, I pronounced your name quite well. Well, great. I'm glad. Brian talking about Iceland, first time here, great landscapes, but food there is expensive. I didn't know that. I don't even know what kind of food they have in Iceland, but we'll talk about that some other day. Will, what's up, Jerome? Will, what's going on, man? How are you doing? I was actually just talking about you earlier because you had shared this story with us about this new iPhone that's coming out. Oh, and yeah, here I am going off topic because this AirTag for Tile. This is something that I didn't know Apple was working on, which would be great. So we've been hearing rumors and seeing evidence about an Apple Tile-like device for tracking personal items. Now, with the release of iOS 13.2, we can confirm this device will be called AirTag. Oh, okay, it looks like they've seen some things here calling it that. A folder within the file system for the latest version of Apple's mobile operating system possibly confirms the name AirTag for the new device, which will be paired with the user's phone, with a user's iPhone, just like AirPods, and will allow users to track any item using the Find My app. Currently, these assets are placeholders. It's still unclear when Apple plans on announcing the new device, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, what about you guys? Do you guys use Tile? I use it. Again, I just have one Tile that I just like throw in my wallet. I want to use more. I would love to put one on my keys, throw one in my backpack. I see Apple wants to do it and they want to call it AirTag, but how much is one of these going to cost? And like, how much better is it going to be? I think a Tile goes for $20. And I'm sure you can find them on deals. I know there are a lot of times you can buy like a pack of 3 or a pack of 4 and get them for like $5 cheaper, but we'll see. George says, really hope they put the iPhone 11 camera on the 9. Best, in my honest opinion. I feel the same way. If you guys know me and if you've seen my other videos, right now the iPhone 11 Pro is my favorite phone to date currently. I mean, I haven't tested the new Galaxy S20 yet. I don't know if I will because I don't know if I want to spend the money on an S20 Ultra. I mean, here I am saying that, and I have $1,000 iPhone, but maybe I'll get a Galaxy S20. I don't know. I would have to mess around with it first and see if it's really worth it, but we'll see. Okay, so let's kind of table that there for now with the iPhone. Again, the iPhone 9, iPhone SE2, or whatever they want to call it. It looks like it could be out as early as, what is that, 6 weeks? 6 weeks from now? Yeah. At $400, which would be, again, a great price if they put that A13 processor, which is what it looks like they're going to be putting in, that A13 chip. And then again, I don't know about the camera, which is a big thing for me. And like Brian pointed out earlier, the front camera as well. So, okay, let's stick with mid-range phones here. Let me find this story that I wanted to talk about. The Galaxy S10 Lite. So this is from Android Central. This is the review of the S10 Lite. Samsung finally has an answer to OnePlus. With the Galaxy S10 Lite, Samsung shows that it can build an exciting value flagship, which is great to hear. Again, 2020 looks like it's going to be a big year for mid-range phones. They don't pack the best things in it, but I think they pack enough in it where for somebody who's looking to upgrade who doesn't want to break the bank, this is most likely going to be your option. So I haven't really had a chance to go through it again. It was a busy morning for me, but let's kind of just share the story. Let's go through it here. Samsung's a dominant player in the Android world, and while its flagships continually raise the bar for the industry as a whole, the South Korean brand has failed to make a mark in the mid-range category. Yeah, and that's a really good thing to point out too. Is how many people do you guys know that use a mid-range Samsung phone? Most people I know who have a Samsung most likely are using the top of the line S series, or they have, some whatever model year of the Galaxy Note. I don't know a lot of people that, no, I take that back. Not mid-range phones, but most people, they either have the very high-end Samsungs or they have the very budget Samsungs that they get, at one of wherever, you know what I mean? Usually low end, high end. I don't see a lot of mid-range ones, but it looks like with the S10 Lite, there's a really good contender here. So Samsung is, oh, I read this, didn't I? Let's see here. Samsung's efforts in this area over the last 4 years were focused on the Galaxy A series, a series of mid-range devices aimed at a younger audience that offered several features from the Galaxy S series. While there were a few noteworthy models in the Galaxy A lineup, they didn't make a lasting impact in the mid-tier segment. I agree. Samsung's foibles have allowed companies like OnePlus to gain momentum in this category, with the manufacturer opening up a huge lead in key markets like India. And that's something that I want to talk about too, is OnePlus continues to make great phones. I mean, even older phones still perform really well. I mean, their cameras questionable, right? Like it's a decent camera. It's not the best. I think we all know that. But as far as performance on a OnePlus, as far as the little things they add to it to give it that OnePlus experience, or just a more fluid, a faster experience, a very vanilla Android-like, just clean Android experience is great. Nobody is questioning that. The thing that gets to me is how OnePlus has increased in price over time, completely increased. Like my first OnePlus was a OnePlus 3, because when the OnePlus 1 came out, like I wasn't buying into that whole, like, what was it, invite system bullshit. That, no, I don't play that. Like that's not my thing. But when the OnePlus 3 came out, I think I'm pretty sure it was under $400. I think the OnePlus 3 was $379 or $399. It was really cheap. And now, I mean, we're not double. Well, and some of the phones I think are double that now, but still, I think 650, $700, which is still under what a lot of other flagships are putting their phones out. But 650, $700 is getting pretty expensive. And that's why I think OnePlus now is talking about doing a OnePlus 8 Lite, like again, a cheaper version for now what looks like to be a more expensive OnePlus phone that's coming out for 2020. But let's get back to this article here. So for 2020, Samsung is switching up its strategy. The manufacturer is getting more aggressive in the mid-range segment, and the Galaxy S10 Lite is the first salvo. The S10 Lite is an interesting device because it brings top-tier hardware and usable cameras at a much more affordable price point when seen against the likes of the Galaxy S10 or Note 10 series, which is big for me because I can skimp on a number of things on a phone, but again, and I said this just earlier on the stream, the big things for me is the processor and the camera. Those are my two big things. Those are the processor because I want a good lag-free experience. Some people, they might not care about that, which is perfectly fine, right? Like there's a balance between how much you're paying and how much you're getting. I mean, it's just like with anything, except if you want the best of the best, you're paying up the ass. I mean, like let's just be honest. You're paying way too much than what you should be paying for a phone. Yes, it's your everyday thing that you keep in your pocket, but there are a lot of phones that you can get at a cheaper price that's a lot more affordable. So let's see here. But the most interesting feature about the S10 Lite is that it comes with Qualcomm's Snapdragon 855 chipset. This is a big thing for me. I I have really just owned phones that lie within the Snapdragon 800 series. Those are the phones that I enjoy using because I know those are usually the better performing. I mean, they are the better performing chipsets, and lagging, that kind of thing isn't something I really worry about too much. Um, this article continues and says that's a huge deal for Samsung, and it immediately makes the phone that much more exciting. Okay, so maybe they agree with me here. For the first time in over 4 years, Samsung has made a value flagship that you'd actually be interested in buying. So here again, we're talking about a mid-range phone, and we can go back to the Apple iPhone 9 that I was talking about, right? So Apple iPhone 9, I call it budget, but yeah, technically $400, that's probably mid-range, right? But it looks like Samsung's doing it here too, right? Uh, Although I don't know how much this is pricing at. Maybe it's later in the article. But here we have a mid-range phone with a Snapdragon 800 chipset, which is great. Don't be fooled by the naming here. The S10 Lite is one of the fastest phones you'll use in 2020. So here's just a quick synopsis of how they feel about it. The Galaxy S10 Lite is the best value flagship Samsung has released to date. The 855 chipset has plenty to offer in 2020. Okay, it has a 4,500 milliamp hour battery. Combine that with decent cameras, and you get a phone that holds its own against the OnePlus 7T, which is, wow, that's a great point to put there. So the bad here is it says average design, doesn't have a 3.5 millimeter jack, and no wireless charging. Oh, that's right. These are UK prices. I can't remember. Is the S10 Lite? Do you guys know if the S10 Lite is selling in the States? I don't know if that is. Okay, well, let's just kind of go here or go through this article. So it says the S10 Lite has a plastic back, but the laminated finish gives it a glass-like feel, which is nice. I haven't spent too much time looking at this. Oh, that's right. I think it also uses a different kind of image stabilization system for recording video. I'll kind of peek through the article to see, but no, like this phone it does look pretty flagship for what it is. Let me see here. So it's a single speaker at the bottom, a dual SIM. Da-da-da-da. Okay. So as far as the display, a 20:9 Super AMOLED Plus panel, one of the best displays you'll find for under $600. So yeah, it's over the 500. Like for me, when I think of a good value for a phone, $500 is, at least for me, I feel like that's the sweet spot. I feel like $500, I don't know. It's hard for me to recommend phones to people for over $500. I just feel like paying over $500 for a phone is very expensive. And that's coming from somebody who's bought a lot of phones, to the point where it's like, I don't want to spend so much money on a phone anymore, because especially with the way new phones come, right? I mean, if you want to spend 650, if you want to spend 700-800 bucks, you better be holding that phone for, I would imagine, 2 years, right? Because what a depreciating asset to have, to pay that much money and then next year it's time to buy a new phone. I mean, unless you got money. Unless you got the money, then you know you wouldn't even be listening to me. You just buy whatever because you get to play with it, sell it, do whatever. But again, $500, I feel like, and which is actually a series that I kind of want to like put together, is the best phone for $500. And I'm talking about a new phone, right? I'm not talking about buying a used phone. I've had this discussion, I think, with Will and George and Mike before, talking about, you know, best phone to get for $500. Let me see these comments here. Roland says, man, nice to have you back. Roland, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you joining the stream. Appreciate you commenting. Hope to see you more regularly, because and if you missed the earlier part of this stream, I was talking about how I want to start doing this regularly. So tech news that Jerome Ortega finds interesting live. I'm going to be doing this Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern, Thursday mornings also at 9 a.m. Eastern. For you guys that don't know, like in 2 days, I'm going to be doing this again. And then on Sunday mornings at the same time at 9 a.m. Eastern, I host the Standard with Mike Dixon from Simply Your Device. But again, Roland, very nice to have you. Poma, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Poma, greetings from Russia. Poma, how's it going? It's really interesting too, because I'm doing this morning stream, which I know a lot of tech YouTubers from the US probably are not doing morning streams. So I know that my audience is probably not going to be from the US unless, you're working a night shift. But it's nice to see people from all around the world joining in. So again, thank you so much for joining the stream. Roland says here, this Galaxy S10 Lite is ridiculously overpriced. Is it? Again, I was just ranting about paying over $500 US for a phone. I feel like it's a lot of money, right? And if we're comparing it to a OnePlus 7T, I would love to see how these phones match up against each other. Again, $600. So let me see here. There are several interesting points when it comes to the hardware on the S10 Lite. First up is the fact that it's powered by Qualcomm's Snapdragon 855 chipset. This is a big deal because Samsung has always used its in-house Exynos chipsets in its mid-range phones. There have been a few Galaxy A devices over the years that featured Snapdragon chipsets, but for Samsung to offer the flagship Snapdragon 855 in a phone that costs $600 is a fundamental rethinking of its strategy. So here's the thing. Yes, it is a rethinking of its strategy. $600 is still a lot of money for a phone. At that price point, I would really have to see the rest of the specs to see how far your dollar goes, right? Because $600 US, it's still a lot of money. But $600 is getting you a Snapdragon 855, 4,500 milliamp hour battery with fast charging. So there is no wireless. There's no wireless charging here. Its main shooter is a 48 megapixel camera, 12 megapixel wide angle. Okay, and it has a macro lens. Okay, I don't know. It's hard for me because I haven't really tested this. And here's my thought when it comes to price, right? When it comes to top of the line stuff, as far as performance goes, like that's a big thing, right? You're paying money for performance. So if I'm spending top dollar, I don't want to see lag on my phone. I don't want to be opening stuff up and having to deal with lag. That's a big thing for me. I don't want to be scrolling just through my apps, just the UI itself and dealing with hiccups. And then two is, again, I am not justifying the price. I'm not justifying paying $1,000 for a phone, $1,200 for a phone, 800. But at that price point, once you start getting up to that price point, the only thing that I can compare these phones at that point is almost always the camera, right? Because if I'm paying that much for a phone, the camera better be damn good. Like it better be good, because then I can get a lot of these other features from cheaper phones, right? Yes, there might be a little sacrifice there, but camera has to be spot on. That's how I feel about it. Let me see here. Roland says, only good thing is the chipset, but no headphone jack, no waterproofing, no wireless charging, deck support, no glass back. And then he says here, bad camera, right? And yeah, so like $600, probably there are probably better options out there. I see no reason to exist. I mean, I think the only reason that it exists, the only reason, Roland, that it exists now is because Samsung is making such high end prices for their flagship phones that now they're trying to fill in a gap here, right? That they're like, okay, well, we need to cater to consumers who don't want to spend $1,000 on a phone, $1,400 on their Ultra phone, and so now we need to fill in the gap of between, like, I guess, a $400 and $600 phone. But $600 for a phone is still a lot. let me just go through this real quick. I mean, I feel like now Roland kind of just summarized it for me. There's a lot of things that are missing there, and you're still paying a good amount of money. But yeah, it is nice to see a Snapdragon 855 chipset or a Snapdragon 800 series chipset. I don't have much to go off with the camera. I love that, people show examples here, but me being me, I feel like I can't go off of sample shots, right? That people take. I feel like the best way for me to see how well a camera works is for me to like actually physically test it. So, um, well, okay, let's leave that story for now. There are two other stories that I wanted to go over, but well, the Qualcomm one, we'll see. So, what I wanted to talk about now, and they're both from The Verge, is folding phones, right? Um, everybody is going nuts over a folding phone because it's something new. It's something that, I mean, it is very innovative, right? You essentially have a phone. You essentially have a phone. Sorry, I was gonna show my phone. You essentially have a phone. I'm really bad with aiming the camera, but you essentially have a phone that's a full screen, but it folds, right? And it's not this shouldn't be a surprise that a lot of these phones are having issues because they're kind of first gen and now some of them are second gen. But we had that with the original Galaxy Fold. But this article here from The Verge is talking about Galaxy Z Flip durability test calls Samsung's ultra thin glass into question. And I think here this is because this is from a video from Jerry Rigs Everything. And let's just kind of go through this. So Samsung's claim that the new Galaxy Z Flip uses ultra thin glass, which again was when I saw that when I saw the event, I was like, wow, like, okay, they're not using plastic, they're using glass. Sounded like a true breakthrough when the foldable phone was announced last week. Until now, foldable screens have used plastic displays, which can be easily scratched even with even a fingernail. And it says here the Z Flip making the switch to glass, however thin it might be, had us hopeful that it would hold up better to long-term use. But it seems that might not be the case. So it looks like here Jerry Rigs Everything, and I wonder if I can just go through. I don't know where this hits. I haven't watched this video, but okay. So he uses these little number marks here to show. I think it's how sharp the glass is, or how much damage it can do. And the Z Flip's display starts showing permanent marks and scratches far earlier than actual glass would, which is unfortunate because you're going to tout it as glass, but here we are kind of showing effects of like what plastic would be. Part of the tried and true Jerry Rig Everything test is putting phones through a gauntlet of Mohs hardness. Mohs hardness picks to test when the display glass starts showing damage. So if you watched Zach's videos before, you've likely heard that modern smartphones have scratches starting at a level 6 with deeper grooves at a level 7. So at that point, to get scratches on a level 6 or level 7, I mean, that has to be some serious damage that you're putting onto your phone. And it says here, the Z Flip starts picking up damage at level 2 and more significantly at 3, which is on par with the plastic screens of the Galaxy Fold and more recent Motorola Razr. This screen is, quote, this screen is in no way scratch resistant whatsoever, Nelson says near the end of the video. At the end of the clip, he begins poking holes at the screen that make the OLED panel go on the fritz, but no sign of any glass fracturing. So, here's the story with the Galaxy Z Flip having issues. Actually, it says here Z Flip buyers can get a one-time screen replacement for $119, Samsung says. In addition, you can also get a specialized screen protector designed for the Z Flip for free one time. Okay, as part of a premier service, we will offer a one-time free application of a screen protector, blah blah blah. I don't know. I'm one person that doesn't use cases. I think I'm in that minority. I don't use cases. I don't use screen protectors. When a phone comes with a screen protector, I take it off. That's just me. I like the naked nature of a phone. I like to use a phone the way that it was made. And I'm not telling you guys to do that. I'm just saying for me, I enjoy using a phone that way. I like to use a phone the way it was intended to be made. I know we live in the real world, and you're talking to someone who lives, who's in the city of Chicago, that walks around almost everywhere, carries their phone, walks around with their phone with their head down looking at stuff. So like, I know what it's like. I've dropped my phone on concrete many times and I've dealt with those consequences, but I take that risk. But that's me going off on a tangent. So but yeah, look at that. So how do you guys feel about that? Would you spend, look at this price here. But if it really can be scratched this easily, what seemed like a significant selling point for the 13 almost $1,400 for this Galaxy Z Flip. And it is scratching that easily. I don't know what a level 2 or level 3 Mohs hardness pick is. Is that keys? Is that a set of keys? Are you saying that if I was in a rush and my phone was in my pocket and I threw my keys in there, that there is a potential that I can take my phone out and the keys that were in my pocket are going to scratch my phone? Well, okay, it's a folding phone. So never mind. We can take that argument away. But you know what I'm saying, right? Like it's still really sensitive to scratches. And I just don't know. It's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money for a phone that's going to scratch that easily. Um, Let me see here. Roland says Samsung just joined Apple in the bullshit marketing department when Apple claimed their camera protective lens is sapphire. I remember that. I remember that. Honestly, I would expect more from Samsung. Do you expect more from Samsung? I mean, I don't know. I might be very cynical at this point where I do not trust any company anymore. I used to be very trusting of Google, that Google was always going to do the right thing, but I don't know. Those days have kind of passed me, but I don't know. Maybe that'll change over time. So, again, from The Verge here, and this is to coincide with the story with the Galaxy Z Flip, is a Motorola Razr screen is reportedly peeling right on the fold. There's an air bubble in the screen. Hold on here. I see George is commenting. George is saying, when will these big OEMs stop trying to get over on the public? With the techies digging into everything, you're not going to fool anyone with glass that isn't glass. You're absolutely right, George. But here's the thing: is for us being techies, right? For us really being like diving into these phones, like deep diving into them, I still think there is a big, big population of people who don't watch tech stuff, right? I think they just see the marketing. They're like, that is such an awesome phone. Like, here's a full screen phone that I can fold. I want one. I'm going to spend the money. These are people who don't know anything about how long these phones are going to be updated for, right? Um, it's not only that, there is, and this is something that I argue about with a lot of people all the time. And this is how I feel about it. I mean, this is my opinion. You guys do what you want with your money, but I feel like if you don't have the money to pay for a phone, right? If you don't have the $1,000 to pay for a new iPhone or a new Galaxy S20, don't do the monthly payment. Don't do this 2-year contract stuff or whatever. Um, I just why are you putting yourself in a position where you're going to start paying a monthly payment on a phone? Why is this a thing? uh, what happened to just paying for the stuff that you can afford, right? And maybe this is why I want to kind of pivot my channel and start talking about other phones that are more affordable, right? Phones that most people would spend their money on. I think there is more value in that than buying the latest and greatest just because you have the money. because they're going to buy it regardless. They're not going to care what I have to say. I mean, I just like having those phones because I love testing the new cameras on them. I like to see how far technology has gone with these cameras. And I'm not just talking about photos, right? I'm talking about videos too. Like that's very important. Like as somebody who makes videos for a living, I love to see what phones can compete at this point. But and I'll say it again, like I just feel like please don't get caught up in paying a monthly payment for your phone because what if that phone breaks, right? Like 3 or 4 months down the road, now you're stuck with I don't know. That's just how I feel about it. Like you're people are already paying ridiculous amounts on a car payment, and I don't know. Just in today's, I'm the tough thing with working with a news org is we're very political, and that kind of bleeds off on me. So I'm not gonna dive too deep in there. Let's go into this. Let's go into this story. So, um, the new Motorola Razr is not a good phone. It's expensive, has a mediocre camera, the hinge is creaky, and the display has odd dips and bumps underneath the screen. Okay, so that is not that is an awful way to start. I haven't had a lot of time to really look into the Razr. Uh, you know what? I saw the commercials for it, and like that thing looked awesome. Looked awesome. Brought back nostalgia even though I never officially owned a Razr, and here's another thing too is like I am not a folding phone person. I have never been a folding phone person. So before the original iPhone was out, before that was a thing, all I ever owned were Nokia phones. I was a Nokia fanboy. Those were the phones that I really enjoyed using. I liked the candy bar phones. That's what they called them, candy bar phones. And I think back then everybody had a Motorola Razr, and I think I was one of those guys that wanted to just be different, and I just didn't. I didn't buy into that hype. I mean, they're still cool phones. They're very nostalgic, but this is a really bad way to start off talking about the Razr. So let's continue. But now there's at least one reported instance of the new foldable screen actually separating. Wow. Actually separating from the plastic laminate above the display. And it's apparently doing so right on that bad hinge. Um, so, Input's Raymond Wong published an article yesterday about the issues he's seeing with a Razr that Input has owned for a little more than a week. Okay, so just a little more than a week, and it's already having issues. Wong noticed that the screen had started to peel away the laminate top layer at the hinge. Is this what I'm looking at? I don't know if you guys can see that cursor. Um, Here's what that bubble. Oh, creating a bubble between. Oh my god. That bubble isn't wow. That bubble isn't just distracting, it also apparently affects the functionality of the touch screen. Guys, like it, you got to have money to have these phones. You got to have money to be the guinea pig for these companies. You are shelling out a ton of money. I mean, me as a tech reviewer, I don't even have money to buy these phones anymore because like I am not pulling $1,000 for like 2 or 3 phones a year. More than that, God, I keep ranting about it, but this is the direction we're going, and people are spending the money on these kinds of phones, and it's too much. Um, okay, that bubble isn't just distracting; it also apparently affects the functionality of the touch screen. Wong reports that the parts of the display above the bubble still respond to touches, but the middle of the display is not the most responsive. That is a shame. That's very disappointing to see here. And maybe this is a one case thing, but I don't know, guys. Like it's not very assuring. If you're in the market for this phone, uh, yeah, I be warned, right? It's unclear exactly how the bubble appeared. Wong said that he didn't drop it and that the phone has never been wet or moist or even near liquid. He speculated that it could possibly be due to changes in temperature from using the phone in the cold and then again back in his warm apartment. which is oh my god, to know that you're going to be in the cold and then you're like, I live in Chicago, guys, like it's cold outside and it's warm inside, and for that to be a thing, no. Wong said that Motorola hasn't responded to comment about the issue, and at press time the company hadn't responded to The Verge either. Yeah, okay, that's wow. Wow. Let's see here. uh Oh, Six. Hey, Six, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Six says, if you don't have that money quickly to pay it off, just don't even think about it. Yes, completely agree. Tech moves quick and you will never have the best. It's a game that you will always lose. That is 100% correct. Um, I feel like you are better off being in that position. Here's the thing. I have friends who will buy a new phone every year or who will buy the newest thing that comes out. And then I have other friends that do not spend the money. And instead, they're just like, maybe I'll wait for the next phone that comes out. And then when that phone comes out, they're like, maybe I'll wait. And those are the people that you're probably better off being, unless you have the money to just give it to the company to be their guinea pig, right? Um, I it's a lot of money, guys. I it's very hard for me. It's very hard for me to be very I I have always been a tech enthusiast and I still am, but I am it's just I am giving up on opening my wallet for every time one of these phones come out, cuz there's always something to complain about, and maybe I'm just better off waiting for these deals to come out and then I can make videos then. Because I don't have to be the first at it, right? Like you guys want to give me, you big companies want to give me phones for free. That's great, but like I talk shit about your your phones anyway, so I know that's not going to be a thing. I mean, Google gave me a Pixel 3 for free, which was great, and then I think was it like 2 or 3 days later, my screen went green and I bitched about it. But anyway, Roland says, I absolutely agree. I see people in the city buying expensive phones and keep ending paying more at the end. They're getting ripped off without noticing. And that's the thing, because when your option is to pay $1,000 right now or pay $38 for the next 2 years, people are almost always going to go that route. And that's such a shady way of a company trying to keep you. I mean, I can say shady. Maybe it's great marketing, but I'm in that category where like I don't want the bullshit, right? Like, don't feed me the bullshit. If I'm gonna buy a phone, I'm gonna buy it outright. If I'm gonna buy a phone, I'm almost always not gonna buy it from a carrier because I don't want carrier bloat on my phone. It's the last thing I want to deal with, because then I'm gonna get an update later than others, and it's just an extra hurdle. Even if the updates came around the same time, it's just an extra hurdle I don't want to deal with. I don't want extra apps on my phone that, that isn't supposed to be there. Um, George says, couldn't agree more about payments. Yep. There you go. Roland says, I bought my Nexus 5X for 270 euros cash, around $290 3 years ago. And that was a hell of a deal. That is a hell of a deal. Meanwhile, some colleagues having the latest iPhone for monthly, and still I absolutely like it. And it's funny you say that, because my Nexus 6P is still one of my favorite phones. I still think it has one of the best cameras, even years later. Maybe performance isn't the best, but still a great phone. And I think it's probably coming to the point where phones are so expensive now that for somebody who's looking for a new phone, maybe it's better off getting a newer phone that's like a year old, right? Like a phone, like when a new flagship comes out, that's your time to scoop in on an older phone, an older new phone, right? Like get last year's model. Kind of like when a new car comes out, right? When a 2021 car comes out, that's the best time to buy a 2020 car, because that's when they're trying to move those off the lot. And a 2021 car, almost more times than not, isn't worlds better than last year's model, almost always, unless it's a brand new design. And even then, when a car has a brand new design and it's like a complete rehaul or remake, those will always have issues. And that's when a lot of people say, well, we'll just wait next year for the next phone. Sean, what up? What's going on, Sean? Thank you for joining the stream. Thanks for hopping along. I don't really know how much longer this stream is gonna last today, guys, because I'm kind of nearing the end here. But I do want to thank everybody for coming in, whether you came in at the beginning or the middle or the end. Thank you for joining. And for those that missed it, tech news that Jerome Ortega finds interesting is now going to be a stream from now on. And not just Tuesdays, but I'm going to be doing this Thursdays as well. So the times are always going to be the same. I will be live streaming Tuesday mornings, Thursday mornings, and Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm probably going to repeat this later at the end here, but just letting you guys know. A lot of this is still also very, I don't want to say experimental, but this is me kind of getting used to being live. The more I do it, I think the better I get at it, and it's a good way to interact with my audience, and it's a good way to talk about news without having to make such high production stuff all the time. I mean, I still want to make great videos, and that's my plan, but this is a good way to talk about news, engage with my audience, and even learn things, right? Because I don't know everything. I think I say that a lot in my videos. I don't know everything, and it's nice to be able to talk to an audience and share that kind of stuff. Shabam, am I saying that right? Shabam, Tom Ricard, totally agree on buying last year's flagships. Yeah, for sure. It's the best way you can get a it's the one of the best ways you can get a deal on a brand new phone still, is to kind of just, wait it out, kind of like let the hype go by, right? Let all these new things come out, and that's when you can find the best deals on stuff. Sean, 9 a.m. Eastern is like 6 a.m. in LA. I know. I lived in LA. I know. The reason I'm doing it this early, Sean, is because I am working at a studio with my news team, and my news team, they're very busy, and I work with them too. And a lot of stuff starts in the afternoon and it carries well into the evening, which only leaves me the morning to stream. But I think it's an untapped market, right? I might not be hitting a lot of people who live in the US, but there are a lot of people all around the world who enjoy tech. So this is the time slot I have for now. This is kind of how it's going to be. I know 6 is early in the morning, but there's always a replay crew, right? You can always watch it again. Okay, so last story. Actually, there's another thing I wanted to talk about here, but I don't know if I'm going to touch into that. But there's an article here from Anantech, and I actually haven't had a chance to really go over it. But this is talking about Qualcomm's new third generation Snapdragon X60 5G modem. So to date, Qualcomm has promoted 2 key standalone 5G modems for widespread adoption: the Snapdragon X50 and the Snapdragon X55. Today, the company is disclosing details on its upcoming third generation 5G modem design, the Snapdragon X60, which is being promoted as the premium offering for smartphones, industrial, and commercial designs that require a discrete 5G modem. Key features of this modem include the fact that it's built on a 5, and I keep forgetting what NM is. Process, supports carrier aggregation between sub-6 and millimeter wave, and offers up to 7.5 gigabits per second download speeds. The fact that Qualcomm is outright saying that their modem is going to be built on a 5 NM at this point of the game is very interesting, especially given TSMC's recent disclosures on the capability of its process and its current timeline of development. With the Snapdragon X60, Qualcomm is promoting support for more features of 5G, such as carrier aggregation between sub-6 gigahertz bands in FDD/TDD, similar to LTE carrier aggregation, and support for simultaneous carrier aggregation between sub-6 gigahertz and millimeter wave 5G bands, which is great because 5G right now is in such a weird position. It's in the same position. 5G right now is where, when 4G and LTE first came out, there's going to be hurdles. It's not going to be it's not going to be just seamless at this point, which is actually, I wish I had that story. The fact that I heard Apple is working on their own 5G stuff. I think they see that there might be an issue with the way 5G is, with sub 6, with millimeter wave, and I think they're just trying to make the process a lot more seamless. And I don't know, maybe this is what's happening here with Snapdragon's other modem. It says here with the Snapdragon X60, Qualcomm is promoting support for more features of 5G. No, I just said that. We just talked about this. This leads to big jumps in peak bandwidth support, with Qualcomm listing up. Oh, God, okay, up to 7.5 gigabits per second download over millimeter wave, 3 gigabits upload, and up to 5 gigabits download over sub 6 gigahertz. Here's another thing too: is this whole 5G thing. I feel like I've just been ranting all day, but you know, I, I find it interesting. But so with 5G, I still feel like people are not going to get the max out of it, not just yet. And I don't know, in a year or two, will it be faster? Probably. Will it be a lot faster? I have to wait and see, because I'm in that moment right now where it's like I have to see it to believe it. Every year, every time a new processor comes out, every time a new modem comes out, every time some new technology is like better, they speak the world of it, right? It's going to be so much faster. It's going to be incredible. And then when you have it, it's like, okay, like it's a little faster, it's a little better, but it seems very incremental instead of leaps above. And I feel like that's how 5G is right now. I mean, all you see right now are people complaining about how 5G isn't fast, right? Or people with a 4G LTE phone, they're getting better speeds out of it. And I mean, I don't even know how 5G is going to relate when it comes to battery life. Like, I don't know if it's going to eat battery more. It probably will. Let me go through these. Uh, Let me see here. Android stud. Leo, how's it going, man? I need 7G. Yeah, I think we all we need something faster. And I don't know if 5G is the answer right now. Sean says here, these companies think their phones are worth more than laptops. Yeah, I totally agree. I not only that, you know what? With the price of phones these days, I always like to make the comparison to a new like 55, 65-inch TV. Yes, you can't put a TV in your pocket, it's not a computer, whatever, but I still do not believe paying $1,000 for a phone is worth it. I don't. Yes, I have bought phones at $1,000. I have spent a lot of money on phones. Doesn't mean that I enjoy doing it. Doesn't mean that when I spend $1,000, I love spending that $1,000, because I don't fawn over a phone that way. Not when I'm paying that much money. If I can find a great deal for a phone that has top of the line specs at a $500 price point, that's when I get excited. That's how I got when the OnePlus first came out. I got really excited back then, because it was just like, damn, like this is a lot of phone for $379, $399. Again, I'm going off topic here, but it is what it is. This is my show, so whatever. I'm interacting with you guys, so we can go a little off topic here and there. Sean says 5G is useless right now, and like it's hard for me to. I mean, I want to just say yes, completely agree, but I don't have a 5G phone, so like it would be very close-minded of me to say that. But secretly, yeah, I think it's pretty useless too. um, Oh, Brian's just talking to Sean. Sorry, I'm just going through these here. MD, so iPhone 9 launch date. I was talking about this earlier, and actually, I'll pull up the article here for you. As far as oh shit, that's right. It was here we go. So the launch date, right? They're saying April 3rd. April 3rd, with a special event on March 31st, which is just a couple weeks from now. So okay, anyway, 5G is a marketing scam. 3 years. You think it's 3 years away, Leo? We're still 3 years away from 5G. That kind of sucks, especially when they're forcing 5G on us. Uh, I just hope that when a lot of these phones come out, that 4G is still, backwards compatible, that it'll switch to that when it realizes that 4G is the better connection to be on. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. I haven't had a chance to I know with the S20, I know they were talking about a 5G, ultra or whatever. I don't know. We'll see what happens here. Um I'm just seeing what Roland's saying to Sean. Crazy how the latest Galaxy, Apple, or Huawei flagships cost more than my i7 GTX 1660 Ti gaming laptop. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Uh T-Mobile Pixel 4, $299. Really? That is a deal and a half. Actually, I don't know why I thought it, because I thought the Pixel 4, you know what, Mike sent me that deal. I think it was right? 399 for the Pixel 4 XL. The Pixel 4 for 299 is a hell of a deal. Like, I wouldn't even wait at that point. I wouldn't even wait for the Pixel 4a, because it's the Pixel 4 for 299. How are you going to beat that? That's a great deal. Um, Leo says 3 years from it being complete like LTE. Yeah, no, I agree. MD, hello, I'm from India. MD, thanks for joining the chat. Hello from Chicago, all the way from Chicago. How's it going, man? Okay, so back to this article here. I just want to see if there are really any key points. I mean, this is a more technical aspect of it, which is something that I enjoy getting into, but it's not something that I really want to just talk about here. Um, Rollout for Qualcomm's 5G modems has been a varied affair, with a time between the initial announcement of the first generation X50. Okay, so it says here, so the exact time frame for X60 rollout may be sometime in 2021 at our best guess. So even if they have a better modem right now, or a better modem in the works, we're just in the beginning of 2020. I just don't. This is very hard, because 2020, everybody is talking about 5G, 5G this, 5G that. Marketing is going crazy. I mean, at the All-Star, for the All-Star game, for the whole All-Star weekend here in Chicago, um, I think Shaq during the slam dunk contest was using a Galaxy S20 Ultra, and everything was 5G AT&T, and it's like, get out of here. Like, 5G is nowhere where it needs to be right now, and you guys market it as that, and that is such a disservice to the consumer. Such a disservice, because you know what ends up happening is when people come to me when people come to me and they want phone advice, the conversation that comes up is, I can recommend a phone, right? And I already can see it happening. Is the conversation will be like, well, but shouldn't I get a 5G phone, because isn't that the best thing to get right now? And it's like, god damn it, no. That is marketing doing its job. That is marketing forcing you to buy something that it's not even ready for yet. Disappointing. I hate being that person. I hate being so negative about stuff, but that's kind of the world we live in, with that kind of like bullshit marketing. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what I'm here for. I'm here to kind of clean that up. I really am. Um, MD says subscribe. MD, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that support. Um, let's see here. Roland says, kind of agree. 5G coverage is not complete in any Central European capital yet. Tana, what's going on, Tana? How's it going, man? How you doing? How you dealing with no, actually the weather in Chicago is really good today. I'm sure it's good over where you're at too. So, you know me, I'm all the way up here on the north side. But yeah, I before that rant, again, that's how I feel. I feel like 5G is not ready yet. Yes, it is a good thing that they are implementing 5G. It's good that they're working on that technology, but to start putting 5G on all the phones, saying that this is the year for 5G, unless Apple, right? Unless Apple is going to get it right. I don't know. I feel like Apple does things a little differently. They take the time before they throw something out there, and to hear that they're already working on 5G, I don't know if that's going to come out for the iPhone 12 or whatever they're going to call it for the end of 2020. But hopefully, if they do, they start implementing 5G well, I don't know. It's again, it is I hate being in that position where I have to be cynical about technology, but do not fall for that 5G hype just yet. There's not enough out there to really say that it is solid, unless the backwards compatibility for 5G, so that you can use 4G, 4G LTE or whatever is good. But there, again, when people come to me and they want advice, there's nothing wrong with a 4G LTE phone today. There really isn't. I don't think there's a reason to, at this point, I think it's just bragging rights, right? You can say you have a 5G phone, but go ahead and run a speed test and show me that your 5G phone is consistently outpacing the speed of my 4G LTE phone. And not even that, to the point where I'm going to notice it, right? Because I can pretty much do anything I need to on my phone right now. I mean, obviously there are exceptions here, right? I'm not, well, no, I'll take that back. There are times where, so I play Rocket League. That's like one of like my guilty pleasure. That's one of my favorite games to play. And there were times I didn't have internet and I would stream it, or I would hotspot it on my T-Mobile phone, whatever phone I was using then. And it wasn't bad. It wasn't the best, but it was serviceable. So anyway, I'm done ranting, guys. I really am. I'm probably gonna end it here. I do want to thank everybody for joining my stream. This is the first time I am doing a live version of tech news that Jerome Ortega finds interesting, and this is something that I want to continue doing. So from now on, from here on out, I am going to be doing this news segment, this live stream segment, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, Thursdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, and then I will also be live streaming with Mike Dixon, doing the standard at 9 a.m. Eastern on Sundays. Otherwise, that's it. I do want to thank everybody for joining. I want to thank everybody for being part of the chat, saying what's up. Guys, feel free to always say what's up. I love engaging in the chat, and with the way the chat is right now, it's still, enough for me to go through the comments, to talk to everybody, to see what's going on. That's it, really. Feel free to I hate being that guy. It's just weird saying it, but like if you like the stream, please feel free to share, subscribe. There's a super chat too, but like I'm not pushing that on anyone. So please, for you guys to support me, to watch me, it really means a lot to me. I do have a Patreon. If you guys want to check some like behind the scenes stuff, you can check me out at patreon.com/Jerome Ortega. I am on Instagram at Phone Jerome. I am on Twitter at Phone Jerome. And I post very regularly on both. And that's it, guys. So I'm going to end this here. I'm just like looking at the chat real quick just to see. Tana says good weather today. Yeah, man, it's excellent. I walked out this morning at like 4:50 a.m. and I'm like, it's pretty warm today, so I was pretty happy about that. Leo says the speed of 4G LTE on Verizon is ridiculously fast. Yeah, I mean that's a great thing, and that's why I'm just like, 5G is not ready yet. We're not ready yet. Roland's talking to Leo here. My 4G on my phone is faster than my ADSL internet in my village. Like, yeah, look at that, man. That's what I'm talking about. Love this. Okay, cool. All right, guys, that's it. I will see you guys Thursday. I'm trying to work on a video today, so hopefully I'll have something new out with a little higher production, just not a live stream. Then I might be cutting some of this stuff up. So anyway, I will see you guys soon. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next live stream. I'll see you then.